Falcons as the perennial battle between Ford and Holden enters a new era. To call the action from the Hotwheels Supercars, the man with the V8 vocal cords, Daryl Eastlake.
Eddie, settle back and buckle up, son. This will be something else, I'll tell you, because yesterday it was Captain Chaos at its best. We had some carnage here, but by gee, having the team's done a fantastic job to get the cars back on the grid. More about that later. Let's look at the top runners for you. Mark Scaife, Craig Lowndes, they were fantastic yesterday. That's how they finished, and they really dominated the race. Stephen Ellery with a fantastic drive in the older model Falcon EL. Johnny Bow in the Falcon AU, and that, of course, is the new team, the Caterpillar Cat team out of Western Australia. Russell Ingall there, he came in next, and we go down through the field. Car 15, young Kelly's done a terrific job to be there. Greg Murphy's also good. Tander, fined $1,500 for taking Wayne Gardner out yesterday and lost all the results out of that race. Dickie Johnson way back on 17. That's unusual for him. Crompton there in the new Falcon, and that's a pretty looking car, let me tell you. That's a works car. And you'll see some big names toward the end of the grid. AJ, mainly because all of the smash and bash we had.
Yeah, obviously being non-finishers in yesterday's race, they have to start this race from the back of the grid, and that in itself will be very interesting to see.
Bargwanna and Gardner, what a job they've done to get those two cars repaired overnight.
Yeah, I don't think the mechanics had too much sleep last night, that's for sure.
Wayne Gardner, brand new car. Bargwanna, brand new car, and both very heavily damaged. And boy, oh boy, they have done a remarkable job. And I spoke to Wayne Gardner late this afternoon. He didn't think there was a hope in Haiti of getting that car ready for today.
Crompton's actually in the EL Falcon, Daz. It's painted exactly the same colour as the AU. They did a great job to get Glenn's car finished. They obviously didn't have any time to do two of them. So Neil in the EL and Glenn in the AU.
Well, of course, Russell Ingall also involved in a big carnage yesterday. And they've done a remarkable job to get his car back. So there's been some big battle work done overnight. But it's great to see 40 cars. You were saying yesterday you think they'll get down to a qualifying system this year. So many V8s in Australia.
Well, there's 7 in existence in Australia at the moment. And a lot of the circuits, i.e. this one, can only take 40, which means 30 are going to miss out. So I can see probably pre-qualifying and selection going on throughout the year. This formula has really grown.
Yeah, very healthy in the country, and you'll see the number of cars as they're coming around now to take their position on the grid. Glenn Seaton showed glimpses of just how good the Falcon may be this year. He split the two Holdens in the front before the accident.
Yeah, that was a great shame to see him put out like that, because that would have been very interesting indeed. But the two HSV cars, the two VT Holdens, really are in a class of their own. They're sort of the McLarens of the V8 field at the moment.
Well, I was just talking to Tom Walkinshaw, has a lot of input, of course, into those cars, and also in connection with the Arrows Formula One team. He was delighted with their performance, and he said there's some development left yet.
I know, it's frightening.
All right, set now, waiting for the lights to come up. Glenn Seaton, there he is. Always looks nice and cool and relaxed. He really showed a glimpse of what the new Falcon AU might do. This year he was up, he's way back in the grid now because of that accident. Green flag from the rear, ready to go. Wait till you hear it start to rumble. Let me tell you, the track starts to shake. The Formula One mechanics, they come out to look at these. Green lights racing now. Both the Holdens get their power down nicely. Stephen Ellery with a good start. Johnny Bowen up on the outside. That looks like Jason Bright, I think so, in the bright blue car. Here they go, Holden 1 and 2. Right nose to tail. Ellery, great job in third.
Great start from Scaife, another really good start. He's got clean air. I don't know who I think that's Terry Finnegan by the look of it. A bit hard from this aerial view.
Number 43.
Yeah, Paul Wheel in the Falcon.
At the moment, Russell Scaife, I said that the other day. I've known his father.
Don't age him that quickly.
All my life I was calling him Russell. Yeah, Mark Scaife doing a great job. Now, yesterday, these two really did fight out a great battle, but we were very impressed with the young fella because he was just going so well. I mean, Stephen Ellery didn't give an inch to John Bow yesterday.
No, and he came under a lot of pressure for a long time. That's one of the ex-Stone Brothers car. I'm not sure whether it's the actual ex-Bright car and Richard's car from Bathurst, but he bought that car a month or so ago and hasn't had a great deal of time in it, so his performance is very impressive.
Russell Ingall now, he's in that distinctive silver car.
Oh,
looking under
dear
brakes.
Me, locking up brakes big time.
Plenty
Oh
of
no, that's more than the lock-up brake.
Yeah, that's an engine lock-up.
That's terminal.
Gone. Jason Bright out with A lot of smoke just pouring out of the car. He'll pull it onto the grass there, get it out of the way.
Dare I say it might have been a hose connection or something come loose?
Yeah, it looks like something like that. Okay, good on you, AJ. Out front still the two Holdens, though. Stephen Ellery doing a great job in third place now. Look who's behind him. The man that really had something to do with all that chaos yesterday, Russell England, done a terrific job to get his car back into shape because it was bent on basically every corner.
Well, Russell's there. He'll be putting plenty of pressure on Ellery. He's not a bloke that sort of gives up very easily. He's a real good hard racer, and he'll be putting major pressure on Ellery.
Tony Longhurst and Greg Murphy too. They're well placed just behind the main pack. Johnny Bow in that very distinctive black and yellow car. The Caterpillar car, the Cat car, comes out of Western Australia. Left Dickie Johnson to join the team. A lot thought it was a pretty bold move to make, but I tell you what, he's on the money already, and he's always on the pace.
Yeah, John's always been on the pace in touring cars. He's one of the best touring car drivers in Australia, bar none. It's interesting to see where Mark Scaife actually makes up the time over Lowndes, and then Lowndes closes the gap in other sections. These two are doing it very easily.
Interesting to note that Scaife's starts have never been great. It was always Lowndes off the line, but this weekend Mark Scaife's starts have been tremendous.
Yeah, complete turnaround in that department.
There we go, Ellery there in that white, yellow and red car, holding them out. Scaife, Lowndes, Ellery, Ingle, Bow, Longhurst, as we called them. That's how they're running after lap 1. 8 laps, so 7 to go. Ellery doing a great job. And I mean, on a circuit that really, if you're going to be intimidated, you'd feel intimidated here.
And the other good thing about it, of course, we don't now have to sit back and conject about whose tyres are going to go off and who's got to nurse their tyres and what tyres suit the circuit better than this other guy, because they're all on the same.
And that has been a good move, and it's something you called for a couple of years ago.
Well, it just puts everyone on more of a play. Oh no, Cedo out again. Dear me, he's not having much luck with that new car.
No, he's not, but he showed a glimpse of what it's capable of yesterday, I think, and we only got a glimpse of a beautiful colour scheme. The Ford Works colours, of course, into the sand trap. Let's have a look at the replay. Whoa,
dear. Went in there very quick, almost like he had brake failure. He went in that quick.
Plenty of gravel there as he tries to turn the wheels. No go down to the axles in the kitty litter. But the new Ford, I think it'll be a fantastic season. Look at that on board. He really did show yesterday that the car's got a lot of pace, and he was running with the Holdens whilst he was running.
Good shot of the beach then.
Yep. And, of course, that's the brand new Works Ford. Neil Crompton in the sister car. It's an older model. It'll be updated as the season proceeds. But the Holden's not quite as dominating today. Ellery's done a great job. He's just hanging on. He really has surprised me.
I think he's found a new fan as well.
Well, I'm telling you, it's been a great job. It's an older model car, and he's in great company, and it's on a circuit that's very, very scary to drive. It's intimidating, and he is not giving an inch to anybody.
No, his drive yesterday and so far today, very impressive.
So Scaife and Lowndes still hard at it, and beautifully turned out these cars. They really, really are. And Walkinshaw said, don't worry about that. We've got a lot of development yet for these cars.
Can't help but think perhaps Jason Bright might have thought we should have kept onto the EL for a few races more before we went into the AU.
Well, new cars always difficult, and of course Holden had the edge by having those few races later in the season last year to at least do some race testing.
Whoops, Terry Finnegan there having a bit of a lose.
He'll be giddy by the end of the weekend. He has done that a few times. Look at the size of this crowd as the cars all sneak through, and they love the V8s here. It's terrific to be down in the Formula 1 pit lane, because as soon as the V8s fire up, they all run out. They all come and have a look.
I think it's a formula that's captured the imagination of everyone, Daz. I mean, they're big and they're noisy, and flames belching out of the exhaust, and they swap positions. Well, haven't done so much this time, but no, it's a very exciting form of motorsport, and I think that's been borne out by the fact that there's 70 of them in Australia. It's becoming very popular.
And AJ, your general down.
Absolutely. Do you know, for Adelaide, they're going to reconstruct the Formula 1 circuit over there, and they're holding the Adelaide Fabulous 500, a 250 race on the Saturday, a 250 race on the Sunday. Most of the corporates have already sold out completely, and they're predicting a similar crowd to when they had the F1 race there.
Yes, and of course Darwin last year, a new addition, and that was a big success. Here we go, Scaife, Lowndes, 1 and 2. Holden Racing Team as they start to reel off the laps now, all together nice and tight, just running in formation. Stephen Ellery doing a terrific job. He's back in third place, shadowed by Johnny Bow. They come up the start-finish line again. We'll take a break. Hey, buckle up, Australia. The V8s are on the track, and we'll be back. Great to be at your place wherever you're watching this race out of Albert Park, right around Australia. It's Holden's 1 and 2, Scaife and Lowndes, Ellery, Ingle, Bow and Longhurst. So Ingle has moved up a place during that break. That's Tony Longhurst. He showed some good glimpses. Here's a replay now. This is Tander, and getting spun well and truly, Garth Tander.
Tander's been in the wars a little bit this weekend. He was fined $1,500 yesterday and disqualified from yesterday's race for punting Wayne Gardner up the backside. So not the best of weekends for Tander.
And Wayne Gardner was certainly not the happiest chappy yesterday afternoon when it happened either, because he'd driven so well in the Porsche GT Cup race, and he had a third place there against all the internationals, and he was beaming, and he jumped into a brand new Coca-Cola Commodore, and it was just about total, he thought, but they've done a magnificent job and got it back racing today. Haven't seen it yet, but it's all a Holden so far. 1 and 2, Scaife and Lowndes just running in formation. Young Stephen Ellery, he's dropped back a little now. The boys have pulled up the wick a bit, and particularly Scaife, because he's opened up a little bit now, also on Craig Lowndes. So Ellery's dropped back a little bit. Gardner is in 13th position, by the way, which is a great job. If you'd have seen that car yesterday, and some of you obviously did in the highlights last night, it was a mess.
These two cars doing it very, very comfortably, Darryl. They really are just sort of setting the pace and looking after everything and just romping home.
Well, it looks like a terrific season now, and what we've seen here so far. I mean, there's a lot more development into all of the cars. The championship starts proper than the endurance races, with so many cars and so many competitive cars, and a lot of young talent starting to make their name as well.
Absolutely. Well, I think that the reason we haven't seen a couple more AUs on the track, and perhaps not as far up as we'd like to see them, is that they didn't receive their aero kit until very late in the day. In fact, it was almost to the stage where I think they had to put names in a hat, and whoever drew the name out first got the first aero kit, and second got the second aero kit, so forth and so on. So they're right behind the 8 ball with development in that terms.
A lot of talk about John Bow there in the black and yellow Ford, about leaving Dick Johnson Racing. Dick Johnson having his final season, saying goodbye to Australia. In fact, his last Grand Prix meeting is on right now. So it's a sad time for him. But Johnny Bow made the decision to go over to the Western Australian-based team with the Cat and Caterpillar signage there, the black and yellow car, and they thought, he even said, I think we'll struggle for a while, but yesterday came out all guns firing. Well, there he is behind the latest Holden and doing a pretty good job.
Yellow flag waving there. I don't know. Oh, yeah, it's McLean's obviously gone off a lap earlier. No, it's a credit to them. Their whole outfit just looks fabulous. The colour scheme, the uniforms, the transporter, just, a nice little helping hand. Thank you very much.
That's Tratt. He's going off car 75, Anthony Tratt, in the Ford Falcon, and he's well and truly dug in as well. Whoa.
Yeah, I think Todd Kelly's going to be a little bit close to the back of him. I'm not going to cast any aspersions on that, but he may just have been given a little helping hand.
It's a difference when you see the F1 cars go off and they skate across that, and they're so delicate on to make sure they don't spin the wheels to try and drive off. The Altura is a lot heavier, of course. They dig straight in, don't they?
1,350 kilos versus about 600. You know, they're very heavy. In fact, they're a very heavy car to make a tyre for and a wheel, because they're 1,350 kilos, they're 600 horsepower, they have an enormous amount of torque, so they're very hard on all the componentry.
Mark Scaife now really, he's starting to pull some distance on Craig Lowndes, and he was so excited about winning, and there goes the Daily Planet car.
Yeah, Wakefield in that. I think he leased that car from the weekend off John Trimboli, and he wasn't going too bad.
Yeah, great colour scheme, that car. It really does stand out from the Daily Planet organisation. Scaife and Lowndes, as we said. Bow Longhurst, nothing's much happened. They're all about the same stage. If anything, it's probably Scaife just stayed.
Dicky.
Well, I'm not sure how that's happened, but that's the brand new Ford AU.
Listen, they're having enough trouble getting their kits as it is without ruining them.
And I think he got some damage yesterday too, quite frankly. But that's had a big shunt in the front, as you can see. And Dickie Johnson wouldn't be very happy about that. What a way to finish your last Grand Prix meeting. But 25 great years of racing, saying goodbye to Australia this year, and I'm sure they'll turn out their thousands to thank him for all of the entertainment, fun and thrills that he's given us over that 25 years career.
just moved into a brand new facility up there in Queensland. It's magnificent. People can go through and have a look through and see the cars being prepared and buy the clothing, and it's just a magnificent. It's the first of its kind in Australia.
Wayne Gardner's doing a pretty good job. He's come up to 11th position now as he has a look up at the inside. That's the Coca-Cola car.
Oh.
And again, maybe just a little scrape there, but he's doing a terrific job. Wayne Gardner's been really fired up this weekend. He loves the circuit. He doesn't mind rubbing rails with anybody. He'll have a go, and he's up into the top 10. He's in 10th now. That's fantastic. Started from the rear of the grid in a car they had to totally rebuild last night.
And we've got some races to go, so obviously the further up the grid that he can finish, or the field that he can finish now, puts him in a much better starting position for the next race.
Yeah, well, he was so excited getting a brand new car, and of course the damage just stays substantial. You wouldn't even know looking at that, but it's a new colour scheme. Looks good. It looks pretty tough, that car, doesn't it?
I don't know whether I like the black, to be honest with you. I didn't mind the colour scheme of the car last year. I don't know. I think the black detracts a bit.
On the last lap now, the two Holdens. Lowndes has closed up slightly. Ellery still in front of Ingle. There it is. Scaife, Lowndes, Ellery, Ingle, Bow and Longhurst. Positions really haven't changed up the front, and I can't give young Stephen Ellery enough raps. He's holding out some tough men there in third place. You've got Johnny Bow, Russell Ingle. Not easy to keep behind you.
Another one which is going fairly good is Greg Murphy. He's quietly crept up to 7th spot.
Yeah, I think we can expect Freddie Gibson to really turn that team around this year.
Well, Fred always turns out the most immaculate cars. Everything is left nothing. He leaves nothing to detail. And certainly the Gibson cars have always been, one of the best turned out and prepared cars.
Yeah, got good staff this year, good drivers, and I think he was saying the cars are new and we won't be competitive for a little while into the season, but I think they're all playing ducks and drakes at the moment. Freddie Gibson never ever races to come second. Well, who does?
Now, Scaife's got his hazard warning lights on, so I don't quite know what's going on there.
Oh. Mark Scaife out in front at the moment. Craig Lowndes sits in behind him. That's how they finished yesterday. And Scaife's done a pretty good job. Lowndes wanted to have him. He took pole. Scaife made the better start. And they've just driven a beautifully constructed race. They've used all the track and some. Haven't got into any bingles at all. In fact, haven't put a scratch on the car.
No, they're a good-looking race car, aren't they? They're very well turned out, very professional. As I said yesterday, they can utilise the facilities from Arrows and Tom Wilkinshaw. If they want to talk about shock absorbers and setup, it's just they can fax backwards and forwards, and they really have got the jump on everyone.
That's looking up from Craig Lowndes' car. That's his view of Scaife as they go around. You can see the crowd all hanging up on the fences. They just love to hear these things at full song, at full noise. Round they come back onto the main straight. This is it. Will we see a stage finish here? It looks like Scaife will hold out. He does. Lowndes comes second. Ellery hangs on to third. Then it's Ingle. Then it's Johnny Bow. Then Tony Longhurst, who has been pretty well on the pace too. Got involved in a bit of that push and shove stuff yesterday. But again, he's shown that that car's got plenty of pace too. So there we go. The two Holdens have dominated this meeting, no doubt about that. Recap the results for you. Mark Scaife in the VT Commodore first. In the sister car is Craig Lowndes. Stephen Ellery in the older Falcon EL. Russell Ingle in a new VT Commodore. Johnny Bow in the older model Falcon. And Tony Longhurst also there as well. So that's it. We'll take a break at the moment. Remember, we're going to come back with Ralph Schumacher live in the studio after the break.